Okay, hey everyone, I'm in North Philadelphia and I'm in Norris Square. I'm actually at a private gallery and I want everyone to meet Betsy. This is her gallery and she is a local artist and she's actually done more than 50 murals in Philadelphia, including the Spring Garden Bridge. And she's a lifelong resident of the area and she's just going to give us a quick intro before we go out onto the street. Hi Betsy.
Hi guys, welcome to the gallery. This is the Seat on Diamond Gallery located in Norris Square, Philadelphia in the Puerto Rican community. We actually started the gallery in 2010 and the idea was to create a safe space, a sacred space where we could have critical dialogue in communities of color. So at the moment, most of this work is mine from the last exhibit, but we have artists from around Philadelphia and other areas that come and exhibit. We collaborate with organizations like Afro-Taino Productions, and we have like intimate concerts here. We work with Gustos and just a lot of other organizations that really bring amazing programming to the space. Obviously, with COVID, it's been a little bit tough because we're such a small space, but we're hoping to get things up and activated. But this is a Seat on Diamond Gallery in North Philadelphia, and I'm Betsy Casañas, and I'm a muralist, and I have about 50 murals around the world, so not just in Philadelphia. Okay,
that's great. Could you explain the one behind you?
Yes, actually this was part of an exhibit that I did. This whole series, actually, this is part of a much larger project on a program that I was doing that focused on violence against women. So I was creating a program with the intention of working with the embassy in Peru, starting off in Peru to do a month-long programming, working with organizations that were working with women. But then I was invited to do a show prior, so this is some of the work from that.
Okay, that's great. And am I correct in saying this is probably the second largest Puerto Rican community in the country after New York?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so we have at least a half dozen other paintings around here. Do you want to tell us about them?
Well, this is all part of that same exhibit. Actually, my work became pretty abstract. Most of my murals are figurative, and this is actually a project on parachute cloth. We have the poetry of a Puerto Rican writer, and I've been playing with this abstraction and the idea of creating order in chaos. This is actually up top here was probably one of the first pieces that I started over 20 years ago that really started focusing on the idea of transformation and shedding, and creating spaces, the idea of creating spaces creating safe spaces, starting with really, really small steps. So, yeah.
And where else, you said you could find your murals around the world. Where else have you done murals?
I've painted murals in Dubai, in Ireland, in Peru, in Ecuador, in Paraguay, in Cuba, in the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, Mexico. I'm forgetting places, but I've done murals all over the place.
Well, we could do a whole other video on Paraguay. I'm actually very interested in visiting there.
Oh, nice.
So that must be very interesting. It's one of those countries I'd really love to visit one of these days. So, okay, so the next thing we're gonna do is we're actually gonna go out into the street and explore the neighborhood. So I'm gonna flip this around now, and we are right now, we're gonna go outside, and we're gonna see the local park here across the street. And then the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna get in the car, and we're gonna go about 5 minutes in the car, and we're gonna end up in an area called Fairhill. So here, I'm gonna show you what's outside. Okay, so which street is this?
We're on Howard and Diamond.
Okay, and could you explain that big milk carton up there?
That actually used to be for that factory right here. So around the square.
I'm gonna step out a little bit.
Yeah.
So this is Howard Street.
Right, exactly. So this is Howard Street, and then the other street is Diamond. So the
Okay.
gallery sits on Diamond Street, and that's actually from an old dairy factory. Harbison's. I don't know if Harbison's actually is the new people that took over it. But around the square, most of the houses that were owned by folks that had the mills up and down American Street and just in the neighborhood. So the owners of those mills lived around the squares. The square actually showed up on the maps, on the architectural maps, in like between 1868 and 84. Like that's when the square started coming up. And in the neighborhood, you have like various organizations. So we have Seat on Diamond Gallery, MySpace. Across the way, you have GALE, the Gay and Lesbian AIDS Education Initiative, which is like a youth program working with the LGBTQ community. Around this particular square, we have loads of artists. We have painters, we have ceramicists, we have musicians. We have the Norris Square Senior Center. That houses,
Is that where the murals are? Is that the senior center?
Yeah. And the mural that was painted there was a community mural painted years ago. I think they retouched it recently with the stories of the community. And then next door you have Norris Square Neighborhood Project, which works with a lot of elementary and high school. It's like an arts and gardening program. You have the Norris Square Civic Association on the far corner. You have Norris Square Ministries on the Susquehanna side. It's an active area, and it's been active for a very, very long time. There's always been something happening here.
And you live here, you're a lifelong resident?
I actually grew up farther north, around 4th and Cambria, deeper in North Philadelphia. And I moved here in 2010.
Okay, so I just want to show everyone, because we're about to leave this street. Up there by the milk carton is the MFL, Market Frankfurt line. So we're actually not too far from where Rocky was filmed right now.
Yeah, actually like right down the street.
Yeah, so right down the street. I'm just giving everybody an idea of where we're at. So we're gonna actually get in the car next, and we're gonna be in the car for about 5 minutes, and we're heading to an area called Fairhill. So we're gonna be introducing you to another local resident in a couple minutes. Her name is Amy. So where's your car, Amy?
Right over here.
Okay,
Guess
so
we're
we're
gonna
gonna
load.
get in Amy's car right now.
We're right
The
over
white
here.
one or this SUV?
This guy right here.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna get in the car and you're gonna get to see out the window. Okay. So if we could roll the window down.
Sorry, just getting a little...
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
So you're gonna get a driving tour of North Philadelphia, right?
That's correct. Well,
Okay.
a small portion of it, actually. North Philadelphia is actually quite large. So we are just going to focus and concentrate on the Puerto Rican population within North Philly.
And how large do you think that is?
Ooh, that's a great question. I would say it's a big, if you look at Philadelphia as a whole, I don't want to give you the wrong number, but I'd say it's like one of the largest areas. North Philadelphia is very vast. And we're just going to do like a very small portion. But as far as how big, 30-40%.
Okay,
of,
yeah,
of
that's
the land or of the city is probably north.
okay. So
but-
right now are we turning onto Howard Street?
We're gonna turn on Howard, and we're actually gonna go drive up 5th Street, which here in Philly, 5th and 2nd Street are kind of like the main roads of getting through.
And
from
by the way,
neighborhood
that's
to-
the Market Frankfurt line up there.
There it is. Yep.
Okay, so right now we're in Norris Square.
This is the square. So here's Casa de Carmen, and a lot of the resources and the organizations in this neighborhood cater to the Latino population, a lot of it to Puerto Rican populations as well. So a lot of it is bilingual. It is for the community that lives here. I'm gonna turn here on Susquehanna.
Just like the river.
Just like the river, that's right.
If you're from Pennsylvania, you'll know what that means.
That's right. I do want to point out that this Norris Square, which is now on the left side of where we're driving, is one of the 5 or 6 squares in the city that was like mapped out by, I don't know, the founders, William Penn, who decided to have multiple squares in Philadelphia. So this is actually one of the squares, which is just a fun fact. Okay, so we are still in Norris Square, but we are going to be rolling into Fairhill. A little bit about Fairhill. Let me actually run it back. Norris Square is one of the oldest Puerto Rican communities, but like the first Puerto Rican community was actually, if you know Philadelphia, this is very interesting. It's actually more west. One of the first is around 19th and Spring Garden. And a cluster of Puerto Ricans live there, again, I think 50s or so. And it was very much a Puerto Rican neighborhood, but kind of got pushed out because of gentrification. And that seems to be a recurring theme in Philly, especially with the Latino population, is, you know, the sort of movement of these communities, mostly because of gentrification. There is a lot of that in the Norris Square area. That we're seeing now, so I can point that out later. But one of the first was Spring Garden, which is actually not near here.
That would be south of here, right?
It's actually west of here.
Okay. Is Spring Garden north of Market Street?
Spring Garden is north of Market Street, that's right.
Okay.
It's a lovely neighborhood. It's like called more like the Fairmount neighborhood now. But that's, again, the first original cluster. The first like Spanish-speaking church was actually in Fairmount at that time. So there's just a little bit of history there. But everything sort of migrated north to this sort of area. We're turning up 5th Street now, and this is pretty much like, I like to call 5th and 2nd Street like the highways of North Philly, just because like it's the fastest way to get from one neighborhood to the other. Both run into the city and run pretty far north as well.
Well, I believe that's the Puerto Rican flag I just saw.
Yes, you will see a lot of flags. I like to tell my kids to sort of point out the Puerto Rican flags because they're everywhere in this community. We're pretty much now in a very congregated Puerto Rican area, but here are some murals if you want to point here.
Yeah, let me turn the direction.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe we could stop for a second.
Yeah, sure.
Just beyond this tree. There we go.
Yep, gotcha. So that's Betsy's mural right there.
And we just met Betsy a minute ago.
And I believe that one is hers as well. Those look very much like Betsy's murals. So, you know, a lot of what her work and ideology is, and you see it all over North Philadelphia, and really all of Philly, is like the murals are very representative of the people who live in them, in the communities where they exist. So like there's a lot of storytelling in these murals, and they feel very much like the people who live here.
And all of these streets I'm seeing are named after other parts of Pennsylvania. Like I'm seeing Susquehanna, York, Allegheny, Lehigh. So like all these streets here, if you're from Pennsylvania, these all mean something to you. I believe, is there a Northumberland around here as well?
Cumberland?
Northumberland.
Thumberland?
No, Northumberland.
No,
Okay.
I don't think so.
Cumberland, probably.
Cumberland, yes.
Okay. Yeah, so these are all different towns and counties in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't even think of it like that, you know? You just like, York is York, York Street is York Street. But yeah, so now I would say like you can walk any which direction, and you'll probably start seeing a lot of Latinos.
So this is the gold, I see golden block dollar plus.
Not yet. We're not quite there, but we're very close. A couple blocks from here is like it's called Calle de Oro.
Calle de Oro, street of gold. Okay. That sounds very
it sounds very regal.
Elegant. Yeah, very regal.
But so it's named the Street of Gold because years back, a lot of, you know what? I want to point something out. This is Taller, and Betsy's Murals right there. I just want you to see it, Brian.
Okay,
we
yeah, I
can
can
circle
see it on
back
the
on
wall.
that one.
Yeah,
That's
we
a
can
beautiful
circle
one.
back. What I'm hoping to do when we're done with this tour is I'd like to take a few pictures, because obviously I can't take pictures while we're driving and while we're live. And here, right here we go,
We're
Lehigh
here.
Avenue.
Here's your entrance to Calle de Oro. We're right at the corridor of Fairhill's Fairhill, essentially. This is where you'll see a lot of Latino businesses. This is the what everyone knows to be the hub of North Philadelphia, especially from the Latino community's perspective. There are beautiful murals into these entrances. Calle de Oro, sorry. Street of Gold. There used to be a lot of jewelers here, a lot of jewelry stores.
Yeah, that would make sense as far as the name.
Yeah, so people started to reference it that way, just the Street of Gold, and then as the migration came from Spring Garden up north, as more Puerto Ricans started moving this way, you see the bodegas, you see the organizations, it sort of stayed that way. It got coined as the Street of Gold, and in Spanish, you know. So that's sort of the history there on the street. As you can tell, I think in the early or mid 2000s, a lot of groups in the neighborhood, along with the city, got funding to actually paint the street gold. So
this was actually painted gold at one point?
yeah, I mean, I guess like a high yellow.
Okay.
But as you can see, the floor from here to about 4 or 5 blocks up is Calle de Oro.
Okay, so Joy, thank you for joining us. Joy says the sound is not good. So we're done driving now. We're hoping that's going to get a little better. So we're going to actually start the tour here. Which way are we going to go?
So why don't we just head this way? We can just do a quick loop around. So the most interesting parts of the street, and I think if you're visiting Philly, it's worth seeing just the community. There's a lot of small local businesses, as you can see as we walk by. So, you know, this is like a main street, a main road, like a lot of other cities would have. You know, like when you visit a popular city, they always have a strip. This is a strip, but it's much more congregated and catered to Latinos. So you can probably go into these businesses and speak Spanish, and if you don't know English, and be helped. Sorry. So another thing to point out here that's really cool about this block is the metal trees that sort of represent back home living, especially if you're from the Caribbean, like.
Yeah, I see these trees. And is this the gold?
This is the gold. This is like the walkway. This is what is called Calle de Oro. So it'll run from here to, like I said, about 3 more blocks or so. But these are trees you'll find on each corner along the street. Really cool project that Taller Puerto Rican, which we will get to next, is in Puerto Rico. There's a small Caribbean frog called a coqui, and coquis make a very, very popular sound, which is very nostalgic for people who, especially if you're coming from Puerto Rico and now living here, you go back home and you hear the coqui, and it just brings you home. So Taller did, I think this winter, November, December, they ran this project where around here and outside of Taller Puerto Rican, they just had the sound of coquis playing at night, which was so like beautiful. I thought that is just a beautiful connection. But again, we're here at the hub of like North Philadelphia, Puerto Rican town, right? And just to hear that sound for people from, and maybe even people who aren't from, who weren't born there but are Puerto Rican, like it's just a beautiful touch to add to this neighborhood. That program isn't running anymore, but I thought it was fantastic. What else? So
another street named after a county in Pennsylvania right behind us.
Somerset.
Somerset, way out west.
How about that?
Yeah, so.
I have to look at all these, now I have to look at the names a little bit more like thoughtfully here.
So here's another mural. Can we talk about this?
Let's see. I am not familiar with the artist. I'm trying to see who the artist is. But again, back to representation. This is obviously a lot of, let's see. Let's see who's here. Yeah, this is like traditional, like Puerto Rican garb from, like traditional garb. I don't know the artist, celebrating the art and culture of our community. So again, representing like, there's two things you can point out there's two things you can point out when you're taking these tours, or see at least, is there's a strong connection to art and expression of, through art. So back to tying the roots, like this is representative of Puerto Rico. This feels like Puerto Rico to me. This is like very traditional garb. This is a man with like a cuatro. Like you could just see so much of Puerto Rico in these walls. So
And
it just
who is Jose Ortiz?
Where are you seeing Jose?
Fifth Street is also OFC Ortiz Avenue. Right up, look at.
Oh, I see. I have to get back to you on that one.
Okay.
I'm sure it's probably. Sorry, I'm waiting for the. It's very vibrant on Fifth
When
Street.
you're out in the street and it's a crowded, like a loud, vibrant street like this, you do get some interference. So
Yeah.
hopefully
Sorry.
the sound is somewhat clear.
Yeah.
Just if we could talk a little louder.
Sure, I'm trying to.
Yeah,
So I'll get back to you on that. But usually the city names people, name streets based on residents, influential people here. So I have to get back to you on that. I'm sorry. I don't know if you want to continue walking and talking.
Yeah, we could continue walking. We happen to come across that mural right away.
Yeah, it's very large, and there's a lot of large murals on here and really all over the city. That we're very much known for the murals. So we can keep going, but like this is essentially what, if you want to ever come into the city and check out the Puerto Rican community, I mean, this is a great start.
So the intersection of 5th and Somerset?
Not the intersection of 5th and Somerset. I'd say 5th and Lehigh is like the entrance.
Okay, which is the next intersection.
Which is where we where you kind of saw the entrance murals. We can start going back if you'd like, or if you want to take a walk up.
Yeah, let's take a
go
walk
back
up.
down.
And another question is, if somebody wants to come here by public transit, is there like a Market Frankfurt line or a Broad Street line nearby?
Good question. The trains aren't that accessible here. I think once you go further north, it's much more bus-based.
Okay.
There are a lot of buses. Actually, the 47 is a strong route. It takes you like very far north and very far south on 5th and 3rd Street. So yeah, like buses are probably the main way to get around here. I think that speaks to like why sometimes the communities can be so siloed and clustered, is just even access. So yeah, you would have to take a bus to then get to the train.
Right, because I feel like the train should be east of us,
Yeah.
and then Broad Street will be
It
west
just
of
keeps
us.
going
I'm
that
trying
way.
to put this on a map if somebody's not from Philly.
Yeah.
So
It is accessible, it's easy, but it is just like one or two transfers. And transferring here in Philly is not that terrible. The trains are the easiest, but like when you have to train to bus, bus to train, it's not that bad.
okay, so are we going to keep walking, or which way would you rather go?
I say a lot of places seem closed, and it might be because of the time of the day. So
Okay.
let's just head back. Oh, I do want to point out this place, and hopefully
Bohio?
El Bohio, yes. If
Okay.
you do come and just take a stroll through the avenue, I highly recommend coming here for food. I came here a couple days ago, and there was a sign on the door saying that they were closed for COVID, so they're not open. They're always open. So if you want to come here for traditional Puerto Rican food, El Bohio is fantastic. Just get a coffee, get a soup, get some fried food. They're just good for just comfort home cooking. But they're not open today.
What should somebody get though? Like if they're not familiar with Puerto Rican food,
Good
what
question.
would be a good place to start?
Good place to start. We're very like comfort food for us is rice and bean. So whatever has, I mean, we have a variety of rices and beans and stews. Like that's what we do. Rice, beans, and any type of stew really will be very representative of Puerto Rican food and plantains.
Okay, yes. So, okay, I do know about plantains.
Plantains, for sure. There's a dish called mofongo, which is like a mashed plantain that you then stuff with stew. And that is like very much a Puerto Rican dish, which Bojio has, but not today.
Okay, anything else you'd like to show us?
I think we should head down.
Okay, we're gonna go south, so we're going south
We're
now,
going
right?
back south, that's right.
Okay.
We are gonna go to a music store.
Is this the Centro
Musical.
Centro
Yes.
Musical? Okay, this is a really famous. I'm not from here, and I even know about this. I've actually heard of this place, so I'm excited to finally go there. And is this at the next intersection?
Yeah, we'll have to cross the big intersection, so apologies if it's loud. Fifth is a very fun street. It's like I said, it's a highway, so people tend to drive faster, and you're always going to hear music, and so it's a little loud. So yes, we're going to cross the intersection here, go to Centro Musical. There, you know, when you think of the places you should drop into when coming here, Taller Puerto Riqueño is one, which again we'll get to that. And Centro Musical is another. They've been here since the 70s. They are where a lot of musicians would come to. Like when they had gigs here, they would come. They would always stop in there. You'll see a lot of traditional Puerto Rican instruments and sound. Sometimes it's also loud, so I don't know if they're blasting music today, but it's just a nice spot to drop into when you're visiting.
Now, is that it over there? Yeah, okay, I can see the sign.
Yeah.
I can see the sign. So, looks like they're open. Yeah, I can see the sign. So we're
Hey.
gonna.
You
Yeah.
hear that? That's
No.
the sound of a coqui.
Okay, we're crossing.
Yeah, we're crossing.
Okay,
You hear that? You hear that?
I think so. Yeah, why am I hearing that?
It's coming out of that.
Okay, so it's actually coming out of that speaker.
So it is still running.
And what's
This-
the significance of that?
So this is what I was speaking of before. This is the sound of a coqui, which is only found on the island in Puerto Rico. When you go to the countryside anywhere on the island, especially at night, this is what you hear. It's just the sound of this tiny Caribbean frog. And this is the kind of thing, the types of things that are super meaningful here. Like, this feels like home. I was just in Puerto Rico, and now this is like my hairs are standing. Like, I want to go back. This is the feeling of being in Puerto Rico. So I'm going to be quiet so you can actually.
Okay, we're
Pick it
gonna
up.
listen to this for a few minutes, then we're gonna cross the street.
Oh, cookies.
Okay, so were you surprised to hear that?
I was. You know why? I knew about it, but I had never come here to hear it. And did you see? I stopped with all this loud, bustling neighborhood and street and bikes and cars. Like, you can hear a coqui from anywhere. So I thought that was so cool. So how do you know Centro Musical?
I read about it because visitphilly.com has a page about the Calle de Oro, and this was one of the attractions they mentioned for this neighborhood.
Oh, very nice. Okay.
So we're gonna have to wait a minute or two until the light turns.
Do we have any questions?
Give me 1 second. They're asking if outdoor seating is popular here. I don't see a lot of outdoor seating.
You know what? There are like just a few bigger restaurants that have like much more space and can hold more people. But for the most part, a lot of the businesses here are just eat-ins. So then with COVID, with the culture of COVID dining, it's more of a takeout situation. There's not much eating out, but there are certain places I could suggest.
Okay. Do we go inside?
Algún día volveré por ti, mi amor.
Okay, so it's actually a little more quiet in here.
Yeah,
So you've been to this store before?
I have. I'm not a musician, so I
Okay.
have, because I know there's just a lot of cool, like, Puerto Rican merch. There's
Yeah,
a
also
flag
we
on
got-
everything.
So we got baseball jersey, basketball jersey. I could be wrong, but that looks like a racing shirt. And these
Which
are little
one?
guitars.
Yeah.
Little guitars.
Buenos días. ¿Cómo
We have
están?
hats.
Casi bien. Aquí también. Estamos iguales.
Okay, we have some very good deals. If anybody remembers cassette tapes, here are some
Classic cassette,
classic cassette.
clásico CDs,
Yeah, here we'll check out some classic CDs.
discos,
Vinyl's making a comeback, and here are some
Widows
artists.
Beatles. This is such.
for Christmas.
I know. This is a traditional, like, Puerto Rican. Estamos en Facebook Live. Si quieres hablar de la tienda, si quieres hablar de los instrumentos, me dejas saber.
Sí, este es un güiro muy tradicional de Puerto Rico.
He's speaking to you, but just in Spanish.
Especial for the Christmas.
Yep. So it's
Eh,
actually,
we call it jíbaro.
yeah.
Hiraro?
Jíbaro, yeah.
Jíbaro.
Hibaro.
It's like a country, you know. That
So
one over there is from merengue.
Yes, those they look like cups, but they make a sound.
Yeah, that's a Dominican merengue.
¿qué más tienen?
Does anybody want to show us how these work?
¿Nos puede tocar un poquito?
Yeah.
¿Nos puede tocar algo?
Sí, le puedo tocar largo.
Okay, he says he'll play something for you guys.
Gracias.
Oh, el güiro.
Tenemos el güiro jíbaro de Puerto Rico. Lelo, lelo, lai, lelo, lelo, lai. Lelo, lelo, lai. Qué bueno ya está. Pam, pam.
There you go.
Gracias.
Ahora nos vamos para...
Ven, ¿para dónde vamos?
Ahora vamos para Santo Domingo.
He says Dominican Republic. Now
El
we're going-
sancocho preto. Todo de tu carne. El sancocho preto. Todo de tu carne. Y de Santo Domingo, we use a merengue en bachata.
Merengue en bachata. All right. Okay.
They have
Sí, que
reusable
me-
grocery bags.
Oh.
Our
Ahí
plastic.
got the little room for your kid.
Oh man,
Yeah, it's a little too small for me.
my daughter would love that.
There we go.
Ding. Las congas. Sí.
On the
Christmas.
ground,
Oh, look at this beauty.
this bongo,
Bongos.
conga. $50.
50 dinero, sí.
Is another drum? That one for you and this one for you.
Perfect. Take
gonna
a
start
little
a
one. I'm
band.
shorter.
We like the White Stripes. You be the drummer, I play guitar and
Oye.
sing.
Oh, let me show you the panderos
Okay.
for plena, tropical Puerto Rico.
Yes. Plena is very much a Puerto Rican, a traditional Puerto Rican sound.
This is Puerto Rican plena from Ponce.
Oh, Ponce
Rico.
is like the #2 city?
That's right. That's
Yes.
right.
Okay. Plena.
Puerto Rico. Yeah. And right here we got the bongos. For Christmas salsa.
There you go. I was like, oh my god, I have to come here.
Where is the? We got the Puerto Rican bongo.
Yeah, look at that. We have a
We got it.
we got a model here.
And this is the conga. That's a guaguancó from Cuba. You're gonna play a plena, Puerto Rico. Chacha. This is la chacha. Salsa. Merengue.
Muy beautiful.
Oh, little different kind.
Muy bien, gracias.
Lo que
¿Qué-
me gusta es bailar merengue, bachata, bolero, chacha.
And how many years has this place been in business?
¿Cuánto tiempo ha estado aquí el centro musical?
Centro musical lleva 1000 y cuánto? 53 years.
Wow, 53 años.
53.
The last 6 years, it's a new one here.
New owner?
Yeah, the new owner.
Okay.
Hija
The
de...
first owner is called Wilfredo González. First is over there in the Bloque de Oro. And they moved all over everywhere to 50 years already.
50 years. ¿Y cuánto tiempo tú has estado aquí? How long have you been here?
I've been here for 1972.
Wow, doing my
I
math.
got
That's
my-
49 years.
I got my own group. My name is Foto Rodriguez en La Única. You look in YouTube
Okay.
and you got my, let me see, make sure you see, que see my face more better.
¿Cómo era?
Foto Rodríguez
Fo-
y La Única.
Fotos Rodríguez y La
Y La
Única.
Única, ahí está toda mi historia de los años que llevo aquí. 40 y pico
Fantástico.
años.
Fantástico.
Celebrando, sí, estamos celebrando 42 años ahora.
Wow.
Y pues siempre ha sido parte de todo esto.
De la música.
Trabajo para ellos,
Sí, ya, ok.
promoción y sí.
Ok.
Ellos tienen una tienda también en el barrio en Nueva York,
Muy bien.
Lexington por allá,
Ok.
106.
Um,
Tienen una tienda así igual que todos.
¿Qué es la importancia de la música en esta ciudad? What's the importance of música puertorriqueña, vamos a decir? What's the importance of
Lo
Puerto Rican
importante,
music in Philadelphia?
the more important that to make sure to show for the little chiquito bambino, no? Where the music come from, like Puerto Rico.
La de Puerto Rico.
Con salsa, bomba, plena.
Buena.
From Cuba, con salsa, chacha. So, try to,
To teach them.
la juventud, que
Teach the
aprendan
youth.
nuestra tradición para cuando lo vayamos nosotros.
Yeah. Teach the youth just a tradition, just so, when we're not here anymore, that can live on. Muy bien, gracias.
Gracias a ustedes.
That was very
Gracias.
nice, sí.
Gracias a ustedes.
Él está aquí de visita a esta área, solo
Oh,
estoy
sí?
dando un...
Okay, from where?
Where are you from, he said?
Nueva York.
York.
Nueva
Yeah,
York.
Nueva York.
Ah, Nueva York, okay. Yeah. Not
Muy-
too far, you can
No.
walk.
Bicicleta.
In a few days, yeah.
Yeah, I got the 80s and the 90s in New York. Wow, it's when we got after hours.
After hours?
After hours, start playing 12 o'clock at night to 6 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, when he used to play in New York.
Oh, you play in New York?
Yeah, and sometimes we play 11 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah,
Yeah, people
very nice.
like a drink.
What's a popular Puerto Rican drink?
What's a popular Puerto Rican drink?
Yeah.
Rum.
Rum and Coke.
Rum and Coke.
Oh, that's a simple one.
Bacardi. The white
Bacardi.
Bacardi. The Bacardi is from Cuba.
Coquito. Yeah, y Coquito on the holiday.
Yeah, the Bacardi is from Cuba.
¿Y
And
Don
from
Q?
Cuba moving from Puerto Rico.
Uh-huh.
Bacardi, ron Bacardi.
That's right.
Y ahí salió el Don Cuba, el llave,
Uh-huh.
pero the best El blanco.
El blanco. Coquito in the holiday season.
Shot traditional.
Just right before Thanksgiving, you're gonna hear the word coquito
Christmas.
from a Puerto Rican for like 2 months. For Christmas, it's just a traditional coconut-based drink. It's a rum, coconut, and like a lot of different spices. But you'll see people selling it during the holidays. Everybody makes it. Everyone has their holds on to their own recipes. But it's a very traditional Puerto Rican drink. Kind of want some now. Bueno, muchas gracias por atendernos. Gracias por atendernos. Any other questions you wanna?
No, I'm
We'll
good.
be
Thank
here
you.
7 days.
7 days, 7 años, 7
7
años.
o'clock. No, we're
7 days a week.
every
They're
day.
open.
Yep.
Open 7
10
days.
to 6 o'clock every day.
10 to 6. So
Thank you for coming.
no,
Okay.
gracias. Muchas gracias.
All right, adios.
You too.
Nos vemos. Que tengan buen día. The Huiro. I was just in Puerto Rico. My uncle's growing that tree plant, and it's not necessarily like something you eat. It's just a plant that grows, but a tree. It's actually a tree. But that's what they use for it. They dry them out. They make the line, and then you just play it. It's a very traditional instrument. Okay, so any other questions? It's going to be loud when we open this door.
No, I think we're good. So we could open the door.
Let's go.
So now we're back on 5th Avenue. No, 5th Street.
So
Lehigh. We're
this
on
is
Lehigh.
Lehigh. I'm going to just point something quick out, and then we'll walk over to Taller. And we don't have to go really deep in, but I thought it was just something cool to point out. There's a sculpture here. It's loud. I don't know if we can, or if we're being
Where's
heard or
the
not.
sculpture?
So the first Puerto Rican sculpture by really any Latinx artist lives in this park by Fairhill. And it's you'll see it in 1 second once we pass these trees. So it's right here, this sort of tower. Oh, this is loud. Sorry.
Yeah, we're gonna turn around.
Yeah, let's turn around. But it's this guy here, that sculpture up there. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, it's loud.
You'll hear a lot of reggaeton, trap, and salsa in this neighborhood. So we're gonna go head back to 5th Street. So
Are we gonna turn right or left?
we're gonna go left. So just to give you reference, now we're going to Taller Puerto Riqueño, which is, taller really means like a workshop. But Taller is the hub for Latino Puerto Rican artists who have, sorry, it's very loud. I'm just gonna wait till we cut the corner, if that's okay with you.
This way?
Yep, this way.
So we're walking
Okay.
south on 5th. Oh, here's where we first stopped.
Yeah, to give reference, this is sort of the beginning. I don't know if you want to turn around for people to, if you're going north on 5th Street, this is where you enter, going north.
Okay.
And now we're going south. Okay, it's a lot quieter here. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of comments in the feed that the sound is not very good, so we apologize for that.
I'm sorry. We're
It's
just
just
an
we
open.
can't control the noise outdoors.
So, Taller Puerto Riqueño has also been an iconic place for people to go to for art. They are kind of, everyone knows Taller. You have to come here, and unfortunately we're here, but they're closed today.
Here's
But
more murals.
I wanted to take you guys in. But they have their own gallery, they have a gift shop, they have a large open space for shows and theater pieces and art pieces. They do a lot of work within the community and really help an access for art as a whole. So again, bummed we can't go in because it's a beautiful space. They actually lived behind us in the Calle de Oro, but they've expanded, so they moved a little bit south, which is this building here across the street.
Taller Puerto Rican.
Taller Puerto Rican. So if you're coming to visit this neighborhood, I highly recommend just seeing what programs they have available and stopping in to see something, support an artist, shop at the gift shop. They hold a lot of like historic and history, Puerto Rican history here too, that like people know Taller Puerto Rican nationally as well as a resource for just history and information. Okay, so here is one of her newest murals. It's called Sanctuary City, Sanctuary Neighborhood. Philadelphia is a sanctuary city, so I think it meant to represent that, but also that, you know, while Puerto Ricans aren't immigrants, they're faced with a lot of challenges as well, and together, you know, we're going to work through this. I hope I said that right, Betsy. So this is one of her pieces that she was talking to us before. What else? We can't go into Taller, but like I said, highly recommended place to go. If you're looking to learn about more artists, if you're looking to learn more about just Puerto Rican culture, if you're looking to get yourself or your kids involved in really cool programming, Taller Puerto Rican is just a fantastic organization. So I think this is where our tour was meant to end.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
You got it, no problem. I'm happy to answer any other questions, but yeah.
Okay, all right, Amy, thank you very much. And I'm going to upload this video to YouTube. And also, if you're not watching this on YouTube, head over to youtube.com/BrianMayRome. That's where you'll find all my videos. And again, we're here in Philadelphia, near Calle de Oro. And if you ever want to check this area out, this is 5th and Lehigh would be the next intersection. Have a great day, everyone.